Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of CUNY Uncut, where we talk about anything and everything, uncensored, unedited, and uncut. And today, we have some exciting news. The application for the next host of CUNY Uncut is now live. Yes, it is a paid position where you get to sit in this very seat and talk to students and recent alumni throughout the CUNY system. You just need to be a CUNY undergraduate student. A background in editing, media, journalism, and other related fields are required, but even if you don't have a lot of experience, try it. It'll be fun. Make sure to get your application in by the March 31st deadline, and I'm very excited to meet the next host of CUNY Uncut Season 5 for this fall. But today, we have a very exciting interview planned. We are going to be talking to a Queens kid through and through. He was recently recognized as one of CUNY's 50 Under 50 alumni for his work as the lead designer of OnlyNY, an independent clothing brand inspired by New York City, the outdoors, and the arts. As a first-generation Filipino-American, he tries to push boundaries, be inclusive, and accessible with all of his designs. He also graduated in 2020 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Communication Design from Queens College. Without further ado, I'd like to give a very warm welcome to Zach Reyes. Zach, how are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. Queens got the money, I'm doing so good. So excited to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. Also, congratulations on being a 50 Under 50
Thank
alumni.
you so much.
Can you tell me about what that experience was like for you?
It was so great. Can I be honest? I got the email and I thought it was like a spam email because it was in all big caps, like, congratulations, you won, or something like that. So I initially scrolled past it, but upon reading and vetting it out, I'm like, oh, this is real. But it's been so great. I've been able to kind of reconnect with my old professors at Queens College. They've been sending over their praises. So it's just really it feels so great. It's a great thing to be a part of, especially the CUNY system.
Yes, and we're so happy that you've been able to get plentiful experience at CUNY and turned it into a career in designing, the lead designer at OnlyNY. Tell me about what some of your goals are for when you're making your designs.
Yeah. So again, OnlyNY is a New York City-based brand. So all of our graphics are going to be New York City-based. My goal is to include as much as I can of every person from every neighborhood, every community in New York City. Obviously, it's a hard thing to do, but I try my best using my experiences as someone who has gone through the New York City public school system and, again, a CUNY student where it's just insanely diverse and just so many different people, so many different pockets, different communities. I just want to make every New Yorker feel represented to the best of my ability.
And I know you try and include home in a lot of your designs as well, being a
Yes.
Filipino-American. Can you tell me how you intertwine your heritage with some of your designs?
For sure. Like you mentioned, I'm Filipino-American. I was born in the Philippines and came here very young to Queens. A big part of Filipino culture specifically is food. So I try to bring in as much as like food graphics as much as I could. Because, food is a universal language, the same thing with music and all that stuff. So I try to incorporate whether it's a food or like traditions we have, any sort of like holidays or even like the language I try to include. In terms of OnlyNY designs, I try to include some like landmarks that may be familiar for people living in Queens or someone who lives in Brooklyn, like, oh, I know that bridge or I know that like archway. So, food, landmarks, if possible, languages, I think I try to include.
That's really awesome. And I'm so happy that you said food because I'm a big foodie myself. And I've been always looking for more Filipino places to go and eat. My favorite place was Flip Siggy near
R.I.P.
Washington Square. R.I.P. Exactly. I'm so sad. So we're going to have to connect later about some good Filipino food.
Absolutely. Say less.
But it's so good that you're able to include your heritage in your design. And it really, I don't want to speak for you, but it's nice to see that, we're incorporating our heritage into the way that we dress and the way that we express ourselves. Can you talk a little bit about, trying to make sure that not just Filipino, but anybody in New York City feels seen through fashion?
Absolutely. I like to use a graphic t-shirt as an example of like a walking billboard or like a walking piece of art because it's just like at a blank canvas, you can do so much to it. You can add your business names to it. You can add like some sort of community service thing you're holding. You can do so much with a t-shirt and the messaging is endless with a t-shirt. So people can either represent the way, you know, their favorite cartoons, their favorite brand, their favorite band, their favorite TV shows. Like, what you can do to a t-shirt is there's just so much you can do. And it's just a really great way to show your personality without saying anything at all. And I think that's why people just love a graphic t-shirt. And that's why I love graphic t-shirts.
Yes, I'm in the same boat as you. I love a graphic t-shirt too. Not wearing one right now, but like I feel like for me, the way that I wear my graphic t-shirts is like to complement other things, but also like I'll wear it just like hanging out with my friends,
Right.
because they'll be like, "Oh, I like your Spider-Man shirt." Like, of course, everybody likes
Like, everyone's
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Listen, Queen's kid.
Queen's kid, Forest Hills kid. I was a Forest Hills high school kid. So me and him were classmates.
Okay, you guys knew each other.
We did.
Wait, as Spider-Man or as some? Anyways,
Spider-Man?
Who's Spider-Man? But I did want to ask if that's your favorite thing to design.
Absolutely. It's kind of like to do any other sort of like fashion pieces. I feel like a graphic t-shirt is kind of like the base of it all, and it's just like one of the easiest things to design into. Again, like I said before, endless possibilities of what you could possibly put in it. You can make it any color you want, and you can go from like simple graphics to like full color print graphics. So yeah, I think the t-shirt is just so versatile when it comes to designing it, when it comes to wearing it. And it's just a staple of everyone's closet. Like, everyone has a graphic t-shirt, or everyone has a t-shirt in general, whether it's plain or, you know, giant all over graphics.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, what were some of your favorite designs that you've done for graphic t-shirts that you've made?
Yeah. The one that comes to the top of my head is one of the first graphics I ever made for OnlyNY, which was a 3-way kind of collaboration with OnlyNY, NYC Parks and Recs, and then NYCFC, which is like our football club, officially for New York City. And anytime I get to bring in a piece of home into my work, I get really, really excited, because I'm like, okay, this is something I know very well, and I know how to design into it. So I ended up making a graphic of the Unisphere to represent Queens, and then instead of a globe, it was actually a soccer ball. Like, guys, like, mind blown. And then the tagline was "The World's Game," which soccer is. And it was such a big release. We had a whole party for it. We had a line outside the store of people like lining up to buy it. So like, that was my first piece and first experience of like, oh my God, people are lining up for the stuff that I made. And that's how I knew, like, okay, I think I'm in the right place. So that's top one. Top two is something that I do for my personal brand, exactly. And it is an ice cream cart. We call them sorbetes, or dirty ice cream, even though it's not dirty at all. And it's just, you know, it reminds me of summers in the Philippines. You can hear the ice cream guy with his bell just ringing, and then, you know, rolling around his cart. So I tried to immortalize that imagery into a t-shirt, and that is the most personal that I felt in the graphic. So it's one of my favorite things that I ever made, obviously, besides OnlyNY stuff. Right. And then third, it's kind of like a catch-all. Anytime I get to design into like MTA or NYC Parks, it's always so exciting to be designing into an agency that you know so well, that you grew up so well, and it's just like everywhere you go. I mean, we all take the MTA train here. We all probably like live near like an NYC Parks and Rec park. So seeing those logos and familiar kind of like imagery, it's really cool to design a piece of New York history. So it's really dope, yeah.
That's really cool. I'm glad that you've been able to get a broad range of types of things to design. And it seems like designing and like the creative process of this is just like in your blood. Like, it seems like it comes naturally to you. But were you always interested in doing design?
I have been always interested in design, maybe not as a career early on, but more of like a hobby. I was someone who used to like pirate Adobe Photoshop, you know, because I could not afford Photoshop. So it started off as like a fun little hobby that I did with my cousins. Like, we would all just be on Photoshop making things. And then eventually it became an option to be a career. And I was like, oh, I think this might be good for me. If I try my best, maybe I can make it work and make it like a full career where I actually make money. And it's, you know, I haven't looked back.
And I'm glad that you haven't, but I know that it didn't start out so easy for you.
Right.
You know, I know you're Queens through and through, but you did spend some time at another CUNY.
I did.
You want to explain a little bit?
Of course. So, before Queens College, I was at City College as an engineering major, which, like, looking back at it now, I'm like, why engineering? But I was an environmental engineer student at the Grove School of Engineering at City College. And it was more to kind of fulfill, like, what my parents did and what I liked in high school, which was, like, environmental science. And my dad was an engineer. So I was trying to put those two things together since, like, coming from an Asian household, like, oh, engineer or nurse, like, they make money. So I did that. I pursued that. And then I was surrounded by people who were actually into engineering, who was actually, like, good at math and physics. And me flunking out of those math classes, I'm like, oh, I don't think this is for me. But I still like to do design. That's still something that I enjoy. And I found out that Queens College was offering design courses with, like, really great electives, to be honest. And that was kind of like the final nail in the coffin for me. Like, you know what? Engineering is not for me. I love design. Queens College is my backyard. Like, my commute would be so much better. So after like a year and like a semester, I left City College and I pursued the design courses at Queens College full time.
That's really wonderful. And I'm thankful that you ended up sticking within the CUNY as
For
well.
sure.
You know, it's okay to realize that something isn't for you, especially in CUNY, because
Exactly.
it's so affordable that you're able to make that switch and not feel so pressured about it. So
Exactly.
tell me about that transition to Queens College and some of the courses and things that you learned about design through their program.
For sure. Honestly, a very easy transition. I did everything like online through CUNY portal, I believe, or CUNY First. You guys, so easy. And I remember some of the first classes that I took was like typography, intro to Illustrator, basically all these kind of like beginner design classes. And then we also had a design class where we were like working towards a big project where we would eventually present it to the whole class. But some of my favorite classes, as someone who loves typography and like letter forms, type 1, type 2, type 3, I think I took all the type classes, even though I didn't need to, but I did it anyway. That was definitely one of my favorite classes because not only was I kind of like learning like how type was made, but also they were teaching us how to create our own type, which is really cool. And yeah, and just as someone who loves looking into like archives, like old books or any old printed kind of matter, I just gravitate towards really fun type because I feel like you can make a graphic feel serious if you're using like a serif font, or you can make a graphic feel like more fun by using like bubbly letters. You know, a type is something that can like change the overall vibe of a thing. So that's one of my favorite classes ever. My professor at Thomas Jockin, if you're listening, I loved your class. It was such a fun class. Yeah.
It feels like, especially now, it's such a useful skill to have, and I wish that more programs did offer it because, you know, me at Hunter, I run into so many people who are doing things for their own clubs.
Right.
And they're all Canva Pro warriors, and, you know, I love that they're taking that initiative, creating more fun graphics,
Yeah.
and getting more people involved. What would you say to how the landscape has changed since you've been in school in terms of designing things?
Yeah. It has changed so much in the sense that like people have so much have access to all these programs that people previously were not, you know, able to access these programs. So people are no longer gatekeeping Photoshop. People are no longer gatekeeping the Adobe Suite. And on top of that, we are getting so much more kind of like free programs like Canva or like Figma that people in any level of design can just jump right into it with the availability of like YouTube tutorials. You know, again, that was like my, like you know, that's how I studied, if not through my professor, was through YouTube tutorials. In terms of art styles, we are coming back to a more very maximalist kind of style, which is great because there was definitely like a lull of like people going super minimalism, very tonal, which was cute for a second. But, you know, it got boring real quick. So I'm glad that, like, we're bringing 2016 back in the sense that people are kind of branching out to their own styles, maximalist, individual pockets. Like, people are not scared to be different, which is, I think, so great in a very saturated market.
Yeah. Have you seen the 2016 trend that's been going on recently?
Absolutely. I have participated. I posted some pictures of me from 2016 during City College days. It was a trip. I'm glad that are past that.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're evolving as well. You know, learning,
Yes.
trying to bring back some of those funner experiences, being more expressive with your clothing. I've always said that that's the way to go. You know, that's how people express themselves. And
Yeah.
I always think that you should try and stand out in a crowd, especially in New York with all that hustle and bustle. Would you say that you agree?
I agree. Especially being us in the garment district right now, like there's just so many different fashion, different like people outfits. Like it's great. I'm so happy to be kind of like the epicenter of like fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, transitioning then, you know, once you had those skills with design and everything, the pandemic hit.
Oh God.
It's 2020. I'm sorry to bring you
I
back.
know.
But you, unlike a lot, you know, I think that you did a really good job of being productive during the pandemic because you came up with your brand exactly in 2020.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your brand?
Of course. So exactly it was a pandemic passion project for me. I was freshly graduated from Queens College. No ceremony, by the way. Boo.
Ooh.
And clearly people were not hiring designers in a world where people needed more nurses and like more like medical professionals. So my way to kind of stay busy but also like hopefully make some sort of income was to finally create Exactly NYC, which is my own personal brand that is based off of my experiences as a first generation Filipino-American. And I wanted to just connect to the Filipinos, especially in New York City, the Filipino community that we have, which is so big and full of great people and creatives. It started off, I was just making like stickers for fun. That's kind of like the first item that I ever made. And then I posted the sticker. It's like, so in the Philippines, we don't have buses. We have like jeepneys, which is our form of transportation. And instead of like LED lights, they just would paint the location on a piece of like cardboard.
Wow.
And they put it in the front. And it's a very specific typography, like hand done typography with paint. And I wondered like what it would look like if those locations were like Queens or like Brooklyn or like, you know, non-Filipino cities. And it resonated with so many Filipinos, like not just New York, but like everywhere, that like it went viral on like Reddit, on Twitter. And then I was getting Instagram followers. I'm like, oh my God, can you make merch? So that was kind of like my portal into like accessory design, merch design.
Wow.
And it evolved into this whole lifestyle brand where I was making t-shirts, hoodies, I was making like water bottles. So it was like a full blown kind of brand. And it's just so exciting to design something that you're so familiar with, something that's close to your heart, you know, my culture. And then segueing into Only, this brand eventually became my portfolio to OnlyNY, where my creative director just like found it because I was already following him. He reached out. He's like, "Hey, we have this position available. Would you be down to try it?" Mind you, I've been following Only since I was in high school, so like this was like a full circle moment for me. I'm like, absolutely, I will apply. And you know, as I say, the rest is history. I applied. I went through the whole interview process. There was definitely a moment where I'm like, I don't think I'm getting this. And I was in the Philippines on vacation on like October.
Mm-hmm.
I get an email like, "Hey, can you hop on a phone right now?" The Philippines is 12-hour difference.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like midnight and it's like noon here. I'm like, it's a little late right now. Can I just like do it tomorrow? They're like, no, we need you now. Like, would you be down to like come in within like the next 2 weeks? I'm like, sure. I'm in the Philippines, but like I'll make it work. So it was a trip, the whole experience.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is such a crazy timeline.
It was a crazy timeline.
Like hearing from a brand that you idolized growing
Yeah.
up, hearing from their creative director, like directly, just straight, was it a DM?
It was literally an Instagram DM.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay.
It really goes down in the DM.
It goes down in the DMs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's really wonderful that you were able to garner an opportunity for yourself, you know, out of nothing really.
Yeah.
And, you know, making that transition over to a real company. I know that you didn't start as lead designer. You started as a junior designer.
As a junior
right?
designer, yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me about kind of your segue through your journey through OnlyNY?
Yeah, for sure. So I started as a junior designer where I was just like on t-shirt duty. Like I was only making t-shirts and like hoodies, you know, the basic stuff. And then the team got smaller and then my responsibilities kind of like just grew. And eventually I was able to navigate from like t-shirts to hoodies to like accessories and like hats and all those soft goods. And then eventually I'm doing like full blown like cut and sew pieces like jackets, I'm doing like outerwear, I'm doing like bottoms and jeans now. I'm like, okay, I'm learning a lot, but this is all very like great knowledge for me to use or have in my toolkit. And eventually, that's where I am as a lead designer now. I'm making everything besides t-shirts. Also leading design meetings. I work with like a junior designer now, so I have like a full team under me. It's been a really great experience, and it's been really cool. Like thinking back of how I grew from like just t-shirts to like now leading designs, working with my creative director. It's really a really fun experience.
Wow, I do have to applaud you for that.
Thank you so
That's really
much.
amazing
Thank
to see
you.
your journey through there. How big is your team?
We have a very very small team. I believe
Oh,
like one like 10 to 11 people.
wow.
Yeah, so small team, but very very big impact. Everyone there is so insanely creative, so professional, and so knowledgeable
Hmm.
that like we make it work every time.
Do you like having a smaller team?
I do. I almost prefer a smaller team. As someone who's gone through kind of like the agency route, like working with these big companies, it's nice to like not have so many people, like so many voices and opinions, kind of like touch on like one thing. Like, is this color gonna be like a color change is gonna become like a whole like meeting with all the executives? Like, we're just changing a color. Like, let's calm down. But it's nice to have like more concise, specific direction from a smaller group of people than like so many different voices. So I prefer the smaller
Okay.
team.
It simplifies things.
Simplifies things so much. Yeah, so much.
It lets you kind of focus on the other things that are important, like designing.
Like actually designing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So smaller team is the way to go.
Do you find yourself doing just designs these days, or are you kind of branching out and doing other parts of the business?
Yeah. So as the role got bigger and more of my responsibilities kind of grew, I'm also now like a lot of my job is also communicating with vendors that we work with internationally, some that are done locally. So there's a big kind of like communication aspect to the job, making sure that all of our we call them tech packs, which is like the blueprint of like whatever product we're making.
Hmm.
They need to be concise. They need to be in a easy to read for someone whose first language isn't necessarily English. So making sure that everything is packed in a way that it's easy for them to follow whatever specs we need. A big part of my job is also kind of like collaborating with the rest of the team. A lot of time is kind of suggesting like what's trending, what's gonna trend in the next year. Um, but also like the my least favorite parts of the job is like Excel sheets.
Oh.
The amount of Excel sheets that I have to like go through nowadays, I'm like, oh my god, they didn't teach me this in school. This was not in my design class. Very fundamental part of the job, but like clearly numbers is not my type of thing. But I'm working through it. I have the support of my managers and my team, who are all Excel professionals. So I have them by my side if needed. But yeah, Excel sheets.
Yeah.
It's a no go.
Praying for you, soldier.
Thank
Because
you.
like there's a lot that goes into, running a business,
Yeah.
especially a clothing business. What's something about OnlyNY or just the business in general that you think goes unnoticed?
Like how much? Again, the numbers game is insane. Like obviously we're making graphics. We want the graphics to sell, but like once you add another color to a graphic, like okay, we're paying another screen now, or we see a sample, like oh, we didn't like the sample. Can we like change the size of graphic? Okay, that's another screen for you to make. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god, every little small change is another like expense.
yeah.
And then like the margins go down, all that stuff. So like learning the numbers part of the business is very crucial to the way I work because now I know, okay, this graphic didn't do well. Let's do something else. Or, okay, this graphic has too many colors. Let's reduce colors. So it impacts the way I design. I feel like it helps me design with intent.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah, I can feel for you because last year, for the first time, our radio station at Hunter got merchandise for the first time in like a decade. And
nice.
I was running through some of the numbers, and oh my God, for one extra color, it's so
It's
expensive.
so much.
I
It's
had
so
no
much.
idea.
The printers have to mix the color and all that stuff. So, everything has to be custom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you use a lot of your experience with your own personal brand exactly to kind of help guide you on your process through OnlyNY?
For sure. When I made exactly like I had no experience with like clothing or anything like that. I was referring to like Reddit, like subreddits, like streetwear startup or something. Um, but kind of like if anything, it helped me kind of in my creative process. Like it helped me become more collaborative because be running this brand by myself, like I'm just talking to myself most of the time.
Mhm.
So it kind of helped me branch out to become more collaborative, and like voicing my opinions, um, and just so many other things. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, I think one of the main things is like branching out of my own head and like listening to other people and what they
Mhm.
have to say. Because obviously, like I have my own reasons, but I'm hearing from like my CSO, like, okay, we can't do this because this didn't sell last time. So just like strategy, I think,
Mhm.
and collaborative processes is what I've kind of learned to grow and evolve from my personal brand to Only.
Yeah. There's so many different aspects to, making a brand and all of those sorts of things. And
Yeah.
you've really gone through the journey, not just with OnlyNY, but throughout your career, starting at City College, then figuring out that engineering wasn't for you,
No.
transitioning over to Queens, getting
Hmm.
your degree there, started working on your passion project during COVID, and then getting an opportunity with one of your dream companies, OnlyNY, then starting making designs, working your way up to lead designer.
Yeah.
You've done all this.
Oh my God.
What's next?
I'm not gonna tell you. I'm kidding. Honestly, eventually, I want to continue where I am at only just making things. The goal is to kind of like restart exactly NYC and do some more personal projects because again, everything that I do is so creatively fulfilling that I just get excited. So I eventually want to bring back exactly NYC, make more clothes for myself, um, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. What would you advise to CUNY students who are inspired by, you switching schools and trying to follow your passion and, building up to design?
For sure. I think first thing is it's never too late to start over, especially if you're in the CUNY system, which makes everything so much easier. So if you're feeling, in your current major, like, okay, I don't think this is for me, feel free to change. It's to something that you are more excited about. In terms of design, everyone has their own perspective, their own point of view. I think you should hone it in and just like continue it because in a market, especially fashion, which is overly saturated, it's great to have perspectives that isn't the usual, what fashion people usually do. You can pull from your own community, from the people around you. Be inspired by, just like looking around. Like, you don't have to go dig deep into like Pinterest mood boards, but like just step outside and see what's there, what your community's doing, and get inspired by that. Because there is so much inspiration outside of like the internet,
Yeah.
and like all these mood boards, they're literally just outside your door.
Yeah.
So just explore that.
Perfect. Well, Zach, you've done a wonderful job throughout your career so
Thank
far.
you.
I'm so excited to see what designs you come up with next and what's next on your radar. So thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you so much for having me, David. This was so fun.
Of course. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to check out CUNY Uncut on social media and make sure to download the CUNY TV app. And as always, I'm your host, David Horn, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.